Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. We'll wait a couple minutes here just to let, or maybe a couple seconds to let people filter in here, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, it looks like we got a decent number of people joining in. So I want to welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us for our roundtable discussion with Fortress Power and SolArk. Want to introduce everyone from both sides here. So from Fortress Power, we've got Gary Thompson, Regional Sales Manager. From the SolArk team, we've got Andy Goldstein, VP of Corporate Strategy, and Dustin Douglas, Technical Sales Manager. And then from RENVU, we've got myself, Nick May, Sales Engineer, and our Managing Director, Erez Bilev. A couple of points just to make before we jump in. If you do have questions, we are taking them. Please use the Q&A function as opposed to the chat, because it allows us to keep a little bit better track of the questions so we can work them into our conversation today. And then, yeah, we'll go ahead and kick it over to Gary first just to do a quick overview of Fortress Power, and then we'll let the guys from SolArk do the same.
Well, thank you, Nick and Erez. Happy to be here today and tell everyone a little bit about our company. So appreciate the time and the opportunity. To tell everyone a little bit more about Fortress Power, we are a US-based lithium iron phosphate or lithium ferrophosphate manufacturer for both residential and commercial applications. We're based out of Southampton, Pennsylvania, which is about 45 minutes northwest of Philadelphia. That's where you'll find our main research facility, most of the sales team, logistics, as well as the CEO and ownership of the company. We have 3 warehouses that we ship from, California, Texas, and Florida. Throughout our history, we've shipped about 120 plus megawatt hours of installations in the United States, Canada, Central Caribbean, South America, Europe, and Africa. We've been growing at a 200 to 300% annual growth rate for the 5.5 years we've been in business. We have about 8% of the lithium battery market in the United States. And one project that I want to note that we've participated in that we're particularly proud of is we were the primary lithium battery supplier for SEPTA, which is the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transit Authority. It was about a 2-year project, and what we did was we've installed battery backup for all of their traffic signals throughout their railways. So it was a large project, and one we're happy to say that we were able to take part of. A little bit more about our company. We really try to offer 120% to all of our distributors, installers, and customers. We realize that energy storage is somewhat a new segment of the market, and there's a pretty substantial learning curve for everyone involved. And so we have some technical support staff in place that's aware of this and readily available to help our customers as they have design questioning or have questions while they're commissioning batteries on site, whatever it may be. We really try to be there 120% of the way to make sure our batteries are installed correctly and everyone's happy. We work with most of the major financial partners in the industry, so names such as Sungage Financial, Sunlight Financial, LoanPal, Mosaic, pretty much all the reputable financial companies in our industry. So I believe that's a good testament to our company's stability and bankability. We have 2 main products that we offer. That is the eVault Max 18.5 kilowatt hour unit, and also the eFlex 5.4 kilowatt hour unit. Those are our 2 main batteries. They're both 48 volt batteries. And that's pretty much the summary for our company. I'm sure we'll get into more product later into the presentation.
Great, thanks, Gary. Appreciate it. And then, yeah, we'll go ahead and kick it over to Andy and Dustin if you want to give a quick overview of SolArk, and then we'll start in on our topics.
Thank you, Nick, and thank you to RENVU for inviting us to attend today. We are SolArk. We are a hybrid inverter manufacturer based out of Plano, Texas. Plano is a suburb of Dallas, so we're about 30 to 40 minutes from Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. We started the company in 2013 because we really couldn't find a solar plus storage hybrid inverter that checked all the boxes for what we wanted. We wanted something that was easy enough for a DIYer to install all in one. We found a lot of products in the market were really cumbersome and hard to install. You had to really be kind of like Picasso, this professional artist, to be able to figure it out. And we wanted to design something that would be really easy. So using our engineering mindset to bring down the learning curve and also disrupt what we had observed to be some complacency in the market with respect to efficiency and capabilities of equipment at the time. So we set out to accomplish our mission and just making affordable power for families, whether they're connected with the grid or without the grid. So as a veteran-owned company, a company with a background more of that defense and protection mindset, a lot of customers use an analogy that we're a private security firm, but with respect to independent power. We have 3 models of our current hybrid inverter, a 5K, an 8K, and a 12K. And a little bit of a difference that separates SolArk from others in the market is that we are completely battery agnostic. In other words, we can work with any 48-volt battery system out there. We do not expect our customers to be put in a box where they are required to use a specific battery from a specific manufacturer. A lot of manufacturers of inverters require you to use their batteries. We believe in freedom of choice and maximum flexibility, because not all systems are created equal. Not our customers are created equal. They all have specific needs, and we try to adapt as much as we can to those needs. One example is Fortress. We really love working with the Fortress Power team. They have an excellent battery, and the Fortress battery is one of just now over a dozen battery partners that can actually communicate bidirectionally with our inverter. So whether you want to use a very low cost, perhaps more economical solution like a lead acid battery or a sealed lead acid AGM, or something a little bit more robust like a Fortress, we can work with it. And one thing that we really don't want to forget is making sure that customers have peace of mind when you're working in a critical backup and or off-grid type of system. It's one thing to save on your bills, but it's another thing to be faced with a situation where you don't have any power. And with the kind of investment that customers are making in solar plus storage, we would expect to provide them accessibility and bring them peace of mind that we're available. So we have a 7-day-a-week engineering support team. Dustin is one of the leads in that team. They're a tremendous group of guys. We really take a lot of pride in being able to answer the phone 7 days a week, answer emails, not just for installers and other manufacturing partners, but also for homeowners. So we really encourage you to give us a call anytime, 972-575-8875, and experience our solar engineers. They're extremely personable and extremely knowledgeable. And we just want to, we really want to help families, be more resilient in an uncertain time. So we appreciate RENVU. Well, again, we designed the system for that kind of DIY approach. We know that RENVU has quite a bit of activity in the DIY market. So we really appreciate our partnership with RENVU, as well as with installers. A lot of installers learn about us, and we want to make ourselves accessible through partners like RENVU as well. So thank you again for having us.
Great, thank you, Andy. I appreciate it. That's it for the introductions. I think we'll go ahead and jump into our conversation here. So the first sort of set of topics that we wanted to jump into and talk about were sort of the market overall and where Fortress and SolArk sit in the market, outlooks that you see, and sort of just a general conversation about energy storage on the residential and commercial side here in the US and in other parts of the world. So we talked a little bit about that in terms of where you're focused in the overviews, but what are your overall general thoughts on energy storage here in the US, both residential and commercial?
Yeah, I think we're really seeing a rapid growth in the energy storage market in both the residential and commercial spaces. As more and more utilities adopt time of use policies, it just makes for more of a justification to have an energy storage system for rate arbitrage, for peak shaving, just to give the overall homeowner peace of mind that their solar system is backed up properly. In the commercial space, again, with time of use, there's many applications that are feasible now in the commercial market that perhaps wouldn't have made sense 5 years ago. So we're really just seeing throughout the United States and various markets tremendous growth and opportunities for more growth as we finish up this year and look towards next year.
And I'll echo that sentiment because we're finding that when you're working with so many different customers across 50 states, and we also work internationally, we do a lot of work in Canada and the Caribbean. We find that there are a lot of common trends that Gary mentions when it comes to time of use, how the utilities are modifying their rate structures to circumvent what a lot of customers have done in the past, which is install grid-tied solar. But we're also noticing a strong demand for more resiliency. There's quite a bit of instability in the grid, particularly in California or even where we're based, which was pretty surprising to a lot of citizens of the state of Texas back in February when we had our Snowmageddon mega freeze. Here, the grid nearly failed. And so it was a wake-up call for a lot of customers who either had grid-tied solar and didn't realize that their system would not work without batteries if there's a power outage, or customers that have been considering a generator, but they're a little bit concerned about fuel. Fuel is a variable cost. The cost of fuel has doubled in the last year, and so they're looking for something a little bit more stable and reliable without having to worry about the cost of fuel moving forward, as well as the tax benefits. So you have wildfires going on in California or all along the West Coast. You have an unstable grid. You have storms on the East Coast and in the Caribbean, such as hurricanes. So the demand for using solar with storage as a means of protection and resiliency is much more at the front of, I would say, homeowners and businesses' minds than the original motivator, which would be perhaps bill savings or combating climate change. And I guess combating climate change rolls into the different weather patterns and climate patterns that we're running into. But ultimately, it's about having power. If you don't have electricity, that's a major setback when it comes to all of the other things that you need to have when dealing with an emergency situation, a disaster. An example of an application that SolArk works with is using solar plus storage for medical devices. So when the power goes out, if you have a medical device that's really sensitive, you don't want that medical device to glitch, or you don't want it to perhaps just turn off. It literally could mean life or death. And so we designed our system with a 4 millisecond UPS grade transfer, which is a fancy way of saying when the grid fails, nothing happens, which is the wow factor. Our system kicks in so instantaneously quickly that there is no disruption. So we're working with a lot of banks, financial groups that need to maintain server continuity, hospitals, and first responder groups. And so I would say that resiliency has been at the forefront of a lot of customers' minds, which ties into the growth of not only, Fortress, congratulations, that's a pretty awesome benchmark, 300% growth for 5 years. We've experienced similar growth, but it's more about growing the market, and those external factors that I'm talking about really have created a lot of demand on the customer side and a lot of opportunity for our groups.
Is it something that is unique to the United States, those reasons for going with energy storage? Or if you're looking on markets like Australia and Germany, are these markets similar in the reasons why the customers are going with ESS?
I would say it's all the above. Different regions globally, they have different cost structures for their utilities. They have different climates, but at the end of the day, a lot of these changes are happening all across the board. So you have climate change, which is creating different weather patterns, which is creating more extreme weather globally. You have more instability in grids in all types of countries. So again, different socioeconomic levels allow a certain amount of affordability. And at SolArk, what we're trying to do is bring down that cost for everyone globally. So it's not just developed world countries where those customers can afford to have a super robust hardware with super stable software, but all groups. We do a lot of work in, I would say, lower income countries like in Central America, and we released our 5K inverter specifically for the island of Puerto Rico. We have a special spot in our heart for the island, given its destruction in 2017 and being part of the U.S. So we're noticing this trend from all angles, and it happens quite frequently that we'll get inquiries from countries that we wouldn't have expected. But again, it just ties right into what you're saying, that this is not just limited to the United States. This is a global trend.
Hey, Gary, I had a question for you about commercial projects. We see more and more inquiries for a containerized solution that have all-in-one. Are you serving that demand, or?
Currently, we don't have a containerized solution for the commercial spaces. However, we are working on a product that should be similar to that. I can't talk too much about it right now, but it's in development. We're expecting that should be released sometime in the second or third quarter of next year. But that's certainly a space that we want to participate in the future.
So when you're looking at commercial projects at the moment, what size of projects and how people are actually executing using Fortress and maybe also SolArk in those projects?
Yeah, usually the projects, the sweet spot is in the 150 to 350 kilowatt hour range, and we've seen a good amount of projects in that size. Most of those are usually paired up using SolArk inverters on those type of applications.
Okay. And Andy and Dustin, I see many newcomers into the market for storage inverters, GoodWe, Solis, and other players that are penetrating the market. What do you think about that saturation maybe of the market? Is it a risk that you see, or opportunity?
Sure. Well, I see this as validating the trend that the market is growing quite a bit, and there's a tremendous amount of opportunity for all involved and that are well positioned to take care of customers. With respect to competition, we just try to focus on what we do best here at SolArk, and that is we have a 7-day-a-week engineering support team that I previously mentioned. We want our customers to be able to just pick up the phone, call us, and know that there's going to be a very patient and understanding, but very knowledgeable solar expert on the other end of the line to walk them through any general questions, as well as be able to, with their authorization, access their system at any time to adjust any settings or do any kind of troubleshooting. And that's a significant value when you're dealing with emergency type situations when the power goes out, or you literally are relying on your solar plus storage system to provide power in an off-grid situation where you have zero connectivity to the grid, so there is no crutch. And we designed our systems here in Texas. We have to make sure that every system that goes out is tested to the rest of our ability. So all of our quality control, our packaging and shipping is from our headquarters and facility in Plano. Same with our solar engineers. So we really want to focus on the service aspect of what the SolArk can do. And if there is a situation, we know that things happen. We don't pretend that problems don't occur, but we want to let the market know that we place a strong emphasis on taking care of issues. So we have a 10-year warranty on our 12K inverter, and our 5K and 8K have a 5-year warranty that can be extended to 10 years. And we have field replaceable parts to make it really easy to swap out a board or a relay or something. And people in our team like Dustin can coach you through how to do that. So we try to emphasize flexibility, service, warranty, and making sure that customers not only get coaching about the inverter, but we work very hard to train our staff on all of the partner products that we work with. So if you do have a question about working with the Fortress battery, of course, please call Fortress. But if you call and you want to speak to a SolArk representative about how that Fortress battery specifically interacts with the SolArk, our team is trained to handle those calls. So that's really important to customers. That's what we found. We've doubled down quite a bit on expanding the engineering team. We don't do a lot of marketing. In fact, we've done nearly zero advertising to date. A lot of our growth has been due to word of mouth because customers are just happy to be able to speak to a knowledgeable expert in this niche.
Pivoting from this, maybe talking a little bit about the voltage or the low voltage batteries compared to high voltage. Gary, this is maybe for you. We see more and more high voltage batteries penetrating the market, and you're serving only the 48 volt market. Do you plan on expanding, or do you think there is a good reason to stick with 48 volt batteries?
High and low voltage battery systems both can be beneficial. They both have their unique benefits. We are working on a 400 volt high voltage system that we expect to be released at the end of this year and will be widely available first quarter of next year. So we see a benefit in both technologies, in both voltages. So our company is set on having offerings in both spaces. Low voltage systems are much easier to install and upgrade. They have smaller physical individual units that allow for custom sizing, whereas a high voltage system is better for peak shaving applications where the battery is going to be utilized every day. So every home has different types of demand usages, and I think having a low voltage and a high voltage option will put us in a good position to meet those type of demands and different types of applications.
Can you expand a little bit about the reasons why people would prefer to use one over the other?
As mentioned, in a low voltage system, they are a lot smaller physical units. So if there's a situation where there's not too much space in the garage, or you need a smaller unit to hang up on the wall closet or attic, basement, I think the low voltage system is the way to go, just because of the ease of use and ease of installation.
Just to tie into that as well, there's a lot more incentives, at least right now and currently, for the residential market in terms of their battery sizes. So I'm sure as rules and regulations and things like that come out for the larger battery systems, there'll be, you know, bigger incentives to go with the larger batteries.
Okay, and what about LFP versus NMC? I think that currently Fortress have only LFP technology chemistry, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, you know, a lot of our competitors use NMC. It's a good cell chemistry. We feel though that lithium ferrophosphate or lithium iron phosphate is a safer way to go. NMC is really they're great for vehicles with a higher energy density, whereas LFP or lithium ferrophosphate chemistry is better for stationary applications, which makes much more sense than in our segment of the market.
Sorry, go ahead, Gary.
With the lithium ferrophosphate, you're going to see almost double the life cycles in that type of battery with that type of chemistry versus NMC, and along with getting almost double the life cycles, it's a safer chemistry. It has better thermal stability and is much more eco-friendly.
Great. To kind of piggyback off of, I think, a little bit there in terms of talking about the sizing, there's a couple questions in the Q&A section in terms of how you might stack or size batteries or the inverters together. And I guess just in a more overall idea of what you're usually seeing in the market. I know SolArk's got a 5, an 8, and a 12K inverter, and you've got different sizes of the Fortress going up to 18.5 with the eVault Max. I guess, yeah, just some thoughts on sizing, what you're seeing, and maybe some more of the technical aspects of someone wants to go up higher than some of the standard sizes that are out there now.
Sure. I see Paul's question. Are you planning on making the 5K SolArk able to stack with the 12K? The 5K inverter and the 8K inverter are standalone systems. They are not stackable. If you would like to stack systems for more power, you would go with a 12K inverter. You can stack up to 8 of the 12Ks if you're in a 120, 240 volt configuration, and you can stack up to 9 for 120, 208 three-phase configurations. So there's a follow-up question to that from Sarah. So if you want to do a backup system that works with your grid-tied 20 kilowatt solar system, then what you would do is you would stack multiple 12Ks together if you wanted to use all of that 20 kilowatts of PV. But another option is if you wanted just some basic backup for just some critical items, maybe just a few things that you just want to work, but the primary driver of the 20 kW is perhaps bill savings or some other motivator, but maybe you don't necessarily need all 20 kilowatts for your critical backup. You can just go with one SolArk inverter, and we call that AC coupling, which means that you take your existing solar output that's AC current and put it into the SolArk. Conversely, if you would like to expand the size of the system, you can add more SolArks, AC couple some of those to take advantage of the 20 kW that you have now, and then add more panels to the SolArk on the what we call the DC side, meaning the PV MPPT inputs, where you can connect the DC source directly. So there's quite a bit of flexibility. And if you have specific questions, please just email our sales@sol-ark.com email. If you have a copy of your original grid-tied system single line drawing or the permit drawings, whatever, our engineers, again, they're more than happy to look at them and answer any questions that you have so that you can have complete transparency on what your options would be with SolArk. And sometimes we actually admit, you know, if we're not the right fit, we'll tell you. We focus on education, If we are the right fit, then we'll tell you the best practices. We'll share with you, what's already been done so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And then I see that Paul also asked, how well does the Fortress battery solution work with the 12K inverter as compared to, say, the Simplify? So I'll allow Gary to address that.
Yeah, thank you. What I'll say is because of the high-powered battery management system that comes with both the eVault Max and the eFlex, our batteries are able to establish what's called a closed-loop control with the SolArk inverters. And so basically with closed-loop control, the inverters are not only able to communicate directly with each other, but they're able to take that line of communication and establish the closed-loop control with the SolArk inverter. And by doing that, one of the key things is our batteries are able to convey an accurate state of charge percentage to the SolArk inverter. Without closed-loop control, the inverter is relying on the battery's resting voltage to determine state of charge percentage, which can be a fairly inaccurate way to measure state of charge percentage with lithium batteries. With our closed-loop control system, our batteries are communicating in real time an accurate state of charge percentage to the SolArk inverter. So with Fortress power batteries and SolArk inverters, with the closed-loop control, we're able to establish a really great accuracy using percentage state of charge instead of the battery voltage. Our batteries will also have a higher charge and discharge rate with the SolArk inverters due to the closed-loop control. All of this is going to lead to a higher system performance. Better accuracy controls leads to a longer battery lifespan. A longer battery lifespan is going to lead to more energy output throughout the life of the system. So we feel that our batteries, with the robust processor BMS in place, communicate very well with the SolArk system as compared to the Simplify and some of our other competitors.
Andy and Dustin, I wanted to ask about the fact that you came out with a 5 kilowatt inverter after you had the 12K and the 8K. Is there any reason for that? Do you see that the market is looking more for the 5K solution, smaller systems?
We came out with the 5K. There was a lot of internal debate whether we should release a 5K because our company mission is taking us in the direction of going bigger. We're trying to bring down the cost and complexity of what we would consider true whole home backup so that installers and homeowners don't have to go through, I would say, an exercise of mental gymnastics, having to design a critical loads panel and then figure out which loads are going to be put on those panels. However, we got so many requests from the island of Puerto Rico for a 5K that we gave the market what it asked for. We understand that there are a myriad of low-powered options out there. However, given our service level and standing by our product, our warranty, the market still insisted on us creating a lower powered option at a sharper price point. So we gave the market what it asked for.
This also, I was going to say too, the size of the 5K as well is not only was kind of geared towards the Puerto Rico market as well, but it's really actually helped out with a lot of the RV market. So a lot of people don't have a lot of reason to have an 8K or a 12K system in a mobile home or an RV type of scenario. And we've really seen a growth in that aspect to where the 5K has really been a great fit and key for those types of solutions.
One more question that we're getting about your inverter is why the 12K is called 12K when the output is actually about 9K. Is there any technical reason for calling it a 12K?
Well, I will say I think that was just the name that was just came up with during the conception of the product. It is something that we've seen kind of been asked and the reasoning why. The name was just for the combination of what this system can do AC and DC. So at 9,000 watts AC output, 3,000 watts to the batteries, simultaneously gives you the 12K name. So we've taken the hint. Unfortunately, we can't necessarily change the name, but it was just the preference at the time of creation.
And are you planning to come out with a product that will give in backup a more than 9 kilowatt output?
Yes. So we are we're going to be releasing a larger inverter, and we're also coming out with a load management product that will use artificial intelligence to effectively learn and properly shed different loads. So in conjunction with the batteries, the smart load management with a larger inverter will actually help the homeowner not need as many inverters or as many batteries. The smart loads will actually be able to more efficiently and effectively allocate that power. So I strongly advise everybody, if you have more questions on this, just give us a call. It's coming soon. Sign up for our newsletter on our website. And if you are going to attend Solar Power International, again, I'm addressing industry professionals. If you're a homeowner, please give us a call. We can share a little bit more information. If you're an industry professional, we will have on display a whole product suite of new products coming out at SPI. Thanks.
Gary, I wanted to ask you about the new NEC requirement to install outdoors batteries, and I think that your batteries are rated now to be installed indoors, right?
The eVolt Max is an indoor rated unit, while the eFlex 5.4 is an outdoor rated unit.
And are you planning to come out with new eVolt that will be able to be installed outdoors based on this new requirement?
We don't have one currently in development that will work outdoors. As we all know, cold weather has more adverse effects on lithium batteries versus warm weather. And what can be done is to use enclosures or sheds to keep the ambient temperature range of the battery between our recommended temperatures of 32 degrees Fahrenheit to 113 degrees Fahrenheit. Cold weather generally slows charging and discharging, so we really want to make sure that when the units are installed outside, it still uses our recommended charging and discharging recommendations to fulfill our guaranteed 10-year warranty.
If you're looking on the average installation of a residential storage system, what size of batteries people are currently installing? Is it the 5, 10 kilowatt hour, or is it going up now to 20, 40 kilowatt hour?
Yeah, we're seeing usually around the 15 to 20 kilowatt hour range. Previously, I think 4 or 5 years ago, people thought that 7 or 8 kilowatt hours would be enough to back up a whole house, which is certainly not the case. That's probably not even enough to back up a critical load panel for more than a few hours. So really to be able to back up the critical load panel, which is what most people are looking for when they're purchasing a home energy storage system, you would want at least 18 kilowatt hours for that. And things do vary depending on people's demand usage, but just generally speaking, though, 18 kilowatt hours or more is would be ideal in the residential space.
And what about you, Andy and Dustin? What is the most common installed inverter? Is it the 12 or the 5 kilowatt now?
I would say it's the 12K. Customers want more power. We do a lot of 5Ks, of course, in smaller markets. I should say smaller application. It should be more clear. So smaller applications, back to Dustin's point about the RV market and maybe really small tiny homes, that type of application. Absolutely, that's a great fit for the 5K. When it comes to larger homes And then when you start getting into the really large projects, well, for us, what we consider really large project would be anything under 150 kilowatts of solar PV. That's when you start stacking multiple 12Ks together. So I would say 4 out of 5 inverter sales in general are 12Ks. Customers love having a standard 10-year warranty. That 10-year warranty is really key for giving them that peace of mind, but also being able to start up heavy stuff. So for example, one SolArk 12K can start up a 3-ton central air conditioner. So when you're working with powerful batteries like the Fortress battery combined with the SolArk, you can power some really heavy stuff. It's particularly off-grid where customers are wanting to have this, I would say, close to the same level of creature comforts, but understanding that there are situations where you can't bring in the utilities. So being able to provide that to those customers is really important to them.
With grid-tied installations, when you have a small PV array, it's not recommended to pair with it a higher power inverter. It's not the case with your inverters. If I have a 4 kilowatt PV array, I can still use the 12K and it will be efficient.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we'll utilize the solar and everything as intended, and it's dependent on the programming and how you want the system to function. But obviously, you're just going to have a hard decision as whether the loads are going to go to, or the solar production is going to go to the loads, or whether it's going to go to charging the batteries. So we do take that into note, but it is very scalable, and that does what makes the SolArk very eye-catching, is it can be scaled to whatever project you need.
And I'll add to that on our spec sheet, and for those that are newer, if this is a little bit technical, appreciate you bearing with me. I would like to highlight on our spec sheet that there is a low and a high range on our MPPT charge controllers. So 150 volts open circuit voltage on a panel, that would mean you're putting together generally 3 to 4 panels in series if they're 40 volts VOC, then you'll be able to start up the SolArk inverter. So we do have customers that have just a few kilowatts of PV with the intention of adding more PV later. However, if they want to just keep it small, but they want to have the accessibility of our team and the warranty and understanding that they do have that option later, then that's fine. They can do that. They just need to make sure that however their panels are already set up, that they can handle that minimum of the 150 volts VSC to get the SolArk going. We understand that there are other products out there that may not necessarily have a 150 volt requirement. Maybe it's a little bit less. So that might be a better fit. But as long as they can hit that open circuit voltage, then they should be in good shape.
One question for both of you or both companies is what is the most common error that you see installers making in the field, and maybe worth educating and changing?
I'll lead into that. I mean, I'd probably say the biggest question or the biggest thing that we see right now is probably sizing the battery. Obviously, that's always a tricky thing, especially getting to ESS, especially if you've only been doing grid tied for a while. So sizing the solar and things like that are pretty straightforward, but the batteries can always be a little bit concerning because depending on which you choose, you Fortress with LFP or lead acid, either or, you want to make sure that it's sized appropriately. So one of the things that we try to provide is some training and then also some tools. One of the things on our website actually is a sizing tool, so you can actually help get the amount of kilowatt hours that you would need in terms of battery and for inverters. So it is universal. It doesn't necessarily require to use SolArks. We just want to provide just as much information as possible, in sizing and appropriating the right system for your customers or the homeowner.
Yeah, I have to concur with Andy. By far the most common issue that we see are battery systems being not properly sized. And this kind of goes back to what I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, where we really try to offer 120% support to our installers, knowing that this is still somewhat of a new industry, or this might even be the first battery system that an installer has partaken in. And so we have our technical support staff readily available to answer questions specifically about designing, because this is such a prevalent issue for solar contractors currently. Additionally, we have sizing tools online, and if you go to our Discord webpage, our lead engineer has made some other sizing tools available there as well to our customers to use and try to utilize.
Sounds good. Hey, Nick, do you want to go to the Q&A?
Yeah, I actually had a couple questions that popped up in there that I was looking for a good opportunity to jump in on. So I know there's one specifically that I've actually gotten questions about when talking with customers, but the difference between the old 18.5 eVault and the newer Max version, and what upgrades were made to change from one to the other.
Yeah. The eVault Max is a new and improved version of the original eVault. It's still using the same 18.5 kilowatt hour footprint as the eVault Classic. What we've changed on it is primarily we've upgraded the battery management system to a more robust processor that now enables up to 20 eVault Maxes to be installed and to be stacked in parallel. Aside from that, the eVault Max is UL 9540 certified, which is a really important certification for batteries moving forward. Not all the ASJs are enforcing this, but we're seeing more and more ASJs starting to enforce it, particularly in Northern California. We've seen San Diego County as well as Henderson County in Nevada enforcing this UL certification. So the eVault Max comes with that. It's able to establish closed loop communication with the SolArk inverter. And then finally, the front cover on the eVault Max is removable for maintenance should anything need to be worked on.
Excellent, great, thank you. And then to kind of piggyback into some different uses, there are some questions about utilizing the SolArk and Fortress in just energy storage situations without having solar or some other generator being added in other than just the grid. Maybe if you talk a little bit about what you've seen in terms of functionality for that and use cases, and then the flexibility to be able to add in solar or a generator or something like that later on.
Yeah, well, our batteries come with a terminal on them, so you can directly connect a generator to that. We are starting to see more and more installers and end users reaching out to us that might not have a solar system but are still looking to do some peak shaving. And so by coupling a SolArk inverter with our battery and using a generator, you may not necessarily have to have solar panels on your roof to take advantage of our high-powered lithium batteries.
And I'll add on to that. When you can absolutely use the SolArk converter with Fortress batteries as a UPS. So going back to installations where customers, they perhaps have started working more from home, I would say on a more permanent basis. They have servers, they have computers, they have a lot of data. They need to back that up. They need to back it up more than just what a tiny, maybe UPS just for one little computer can do. They want to basically expand that to their entire structure, meaning their home or their small office, wherever they're working. And you can do that without the panels. I would just like to bring to everyone's attention, of course, that if you qualify, and again, please consult with your professional tax advisor or CPA, that you can benefit from quite a bit of tax incentives, whether that's the ITC, the investment tax credit, and I'm referring to applications in the United States. So if you're outside the United States, perhaps there are incentives there. I'm referring specifically to the United States that you can get the investment tax credit and possibly any local incentives. So having solar panels could, in essence, effectively assist in applying those savings. However, we do get this question quite often that, the customer may want to add panels later, and you can do that. So if you don't mind, Nick, I did notice a question also from Mario about service locations. Is it okay if I address that?
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. So Mario asks about service locations outside the U.S. For example, like in the Caribbean, Central and South America, and Africa, how the warranty applies, the specifics of RMAs, who pays for what is covered. So the long answer is you can read our warranty documentation at the back of our manual, and that has all the specifics on the the fine print. But on a general level, we're doing about 90% of our business in North America right now. The reason is because we had to start somewhere and be really focused on one region. However, in the last 6 months, we have had a deluge of inquiries from outside the US, particularly in the Caribbean and South America. So what we have done is we have just completed setting up our first authorized service center. It's in Puerto Rico. It's what I would call our pilot to work out any kind of like anything, when you start something, you should start and work out the kinks. It's going very well so far. We have a distribution partner on the island in Puerto Rico that handles all of our RMAs, actually carries spare parts, because we want to not only make it less expensive for ourselves to be sending parts back and forth, we want to have other companies that are aligned, I would say, culturally, locally, language, and just shipping. Shipping is extremely expensive nowadays. So having parts in a specific region is really important. And so we will honor our warranties worldwide. We design them that way. How you handle the RMA or the warranty situation is regionally specific. So if you're in Puerto Rico, you can contact our distributor, Multi-Batteries and Forklifts directly, and they can assist you. Of course, a SolArk representative, most likely an R&D or a troubleshooting or a technical engineer. For example, somebody in Dustin's team would have to approve the RMA, but once it's approved, we can handle it at the local level, like in Puerto Rico. If it's in Central and South America, we are open to working with new distribution partners that would be open to working on that level with us to be an authorized service center. At this juncture, we haven't had, we have quite a bit of volume, but again, we've been able to manage this directly with our customers, even though they're far away. We're happy to make the investment. But again, given our rapid growth, we are open to discussing with other groups about becoming one of our authorized service centers in their country or even in their region.
Great, thank you.
And then, I think Mario had a second question I'd like to just answer real quick. If that's
yeah.
Okay. Mario's question was if there's a configuration with the 8 kilowatt SolArk and 2 E-Flex units, if you could add to the system after the fact. And that would be possible. We do allow for additional batteries to be added to the battery bank. The thing is, though, it needs to be, those new batteries need to be added to the system no less than 1 year from the initial commissioning of the battery bank.
Great. And then I think we've got one other small technical question from Carrie in there about the SolArk, and then I actually have a topic that I want to ask about specifically. But it's does the SolArk have a built-in shunt and the ability to measure current in and out of the battery?
Yes, it does. There is built-in charge controller, and there's built-in tracking of the current in and out of the batteries. We do have, calculations and things like that we do help calculate SOCs. But that is where they were hinting at earlier, as far as the closed-loop communications can come in handy. But we do have the ability to work with lead acid, anything between 43 and 63 volts. We can set the appropriate values and use it and calculate it and track it as best as we can.
Excellent, great. And then sort of the topic that I had to get into was spacebound rapid shutdown, because I've had a couple of instances not using the SolArk, but a different inverter where I've run into trouble with sort of integration of different rapid shutdown devices into the system utilizing storage. And just wanted to get feedback from both sides about what you think's sort of most effective and the easiest way to integrate rapid shutdown on grid-tied systems.
Sure, I'll touch on that a little bit, and Dustin, if I miss anything, please chime in. So if you have an existing grid-tied system, typically what we see, again, not all, but if it's a solar edge system that has optimizers, the optimizers will already satisfy the rapid shutdown requirement. If it's an N-phase system, the microinverters will already satisfy rapid shutdown requirement. And if it's, I believe in SMA, they also have their own rapid shutdown components. So if you're installing the SolArk system AC coupled to one of those existing systems, then rapid shutdown should already be resolved. If it's a brand new system, then typically we're seeing installers using either Tigo brand, so that's T-I-G-O, Tigo branded rapid shutdown. We see the TS4 A-F, and I think they've come out with the 2F now with a transmitter, or AP Systems. AP Systems has the AP Smart RSD PLC, Charlie PLC. So either of those are a good fit. We do get questions about Fire Raptor. Fire Raptor is doable, but the caveat there is it's a 24 volt transmitter, whereas our system works better with it needs a 12 volt power supply. So you'd have to do some kind of adapter or some kind of way to transfer that. So installers tend to go towards the Tigo and the AP Systems because they have a 12 volt systems that work with the SolArk. Dustin, did I cover everything, or is there anything else that you've seen recently that should be addressed?
No, you hit it all on the mark. The only thing I would say is you can use the Tigo optimizers as well. The biggest thing whenever you're trying to choose a rapid shutdown solution is keeping, the fact of the matter is we can only provide 12 volts at 100 milliamps to that transmitter. So any transmitter or any rapid shutdown device you can really use. It's just a matter of whether we power it or it's powered separately from the system. That is true. So the optimizers and things like that from Tigo can be used. They just have to be used separately as far as the CCA box and their tap. But those are the two most common, probably Tigo for the longer periods, but AP Smart is really making a breakthrough as far as a ready, available solution.
Sure, and I would like to clarify that we are referring to NEC 2017 and 2020. If you are in an area that is still NEC 2014, then we do see Midnight Solar. Midnight has what's called the shutoff box product. It's a string level rapid shutdown rather than a module level rapid shutdown. If you're in an international area and you would like us to address your specific area's requirements, just send us an email, give us a call. We're happy to talk through it.
We don't get too many questions about rapid shutdown since we're on the battery side, but I will say that it seems like the overwhelming majority of our customers are utilizing the Tigo rapid shutdown unit or the optimizer. I think the optimizer is a nice choice because so many installers have experience using microinverters or optimizers from other companies other than Tigo that there's a degree of familiarity with that product. And also the optimizers add a nice, some nice features as well, in addition to meeting the rapid shutdown requirements.
Great, I appreciate it. Cool. Well, I think I'll just open it up to anybody else real quick if there's any other final topics you want to touch on before we start wrapping things up, since we're getting close to the hour mark.
I saw a couple questions. It sounds like my answer regarding adding batteries to an existing battery bank was not audible. So if you allow me to repeat that.
Yeah.
With our batteries, you can add an additional battery to our battery bank up to 1 year from when the initial batteries are commissioned.
Excellent, great. And any of the questions I'll mention too that we didn't get to, or that maybe didn't get the answer you were looking for, we have access to the Q&A section, so we can address those afterwards and reach out to you. And you're obviously, as we said, welcome to reach out to RENVU or to Fortress or to SolArk to talk about any of those technical questions. Okay. Well, I think now's a good opportunity to go ahead and wrap things up. I want to say thank you again for coming and talking with us. I think it's been a great conversation, and we've hit a lot of great topics, and we really appreciate you coming to talk with us and the business that we've been able to do for the last period of time.
And thank you to RENVU. We really appreciate your partnership and all the customers out there. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for you guys. So we really appreciate your support. Anything we can do, please reach out.
Yeah, here at Fortress, we're dependent on our distributor partners and valued relationships like the one we have at RENVU. So just very happy to be working with your company and your customer base, and we'll do anything we can to support you guys and answer questions as they come about.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks everybody for joining. If you have any questions, like I said, feel free to reach out to RENVU, Fortress, or SolArk, and we're happy to help out.